Hello friends, my name is Narine and today I want to talk about all books I've read in the month of August. It's almost the middle of September now, but still I want to talk about this topic. I've read in August 8 books and it was fairly good month for me. I had 2 5-star reads, 3 4-star reads, 1 3-star read, and I'm sorry to tell this, but 2 2-star reads. And 2-star read, it's unusual for me. I usually stop at the number 3-star, and so these books really I did not enjoy them at all. And my month started with one of that books. So the first book I read was the Red Address book by Sofia Lundberg. I read it in Russian translation, but I'll show you English cover here. This is a story about Swedish author about a 96 Doris who she's very old and she is not healthy and she struggles with everyday life, and she decided to write these letters on her computer, but do not put them on the internet, so just they stay in her computer. Letters for her grandniece who is living in San Francisco, and Doris, she is living in Stockholm. I think she's living in Sweden. And this is like Frederick Backman meets City of Girls by Elizabeth Gilbert, but only much more unbelievable. So this is a story about a very hard life of a girl who can she forced her way through the life, through all the struggles. She meet bad and good people along the way, and she tries to do her best to, to flourish in these situations. I do think this is like the bad example of woman fiction. Like all characters are completely unbelievable. All struggles are too much, and also there is this happy love reunion at the end. I don't like 2 things particular about this book. First, I do think it's fairly homophobic. There is a homosexual character in here and he is like a good character, but there are many times during the book when our main heroine, she thinks that maybe if he would be normal, then their life could be so much better, and maybe they would fall in love and have a family if he could work his way to the normal side of the life. And I do not buy this at all. And second, this is the book when our main protagonist, she ended up being like not even a mistress, because when she met this guy, he was single, but then she stayed in love with him without any contact, and there were this letter back and forth, and he was married with kids. And then at the end of the life, when 2 of them are very old, there is like a love reunion. And I do not think this is fair for his wife or for his children. And also I think this is very cheaply done. So yes, I do not recommend this book. I did not love it at all. And the Woman Month in Translation ended for me with this book. And I know it's not this book's fault, but maybe next year or just next month, because you can read Woman Translation in any month, not only in August. I will try something completely different from different country, because for me this was too much. Me and Scandinavian authors do not go together, except of the kids' books. Maybe not every kid book I like from Scandinavian countries, but there are some. But from like adult books, I can't bear them. Then I read the Heartstone by Elle, Katharine White. I talked about this book in my Jane Austen July wrap-up, because yes, I read it in August, but I included it in this video because it was like a prolonged Jane Austen July for me. This was a 4-star read, I think. Yes, I like this book very much. I enjoyed it tremendously. This is very fun retelling of Pride and Prejudice, but in a fantasy world with dragons and griffons, and all heroines are just badass here. And also it's very fun to watch how the Pride and Prejudice scene-to-scene retelling in this fantasy world works beautifully and wonderfully. And yeah, I enjoyed it very much. There was one viewer who commented that there is a series, and then he deleted this comment, but thank you very much. I looked for it. I didn't know it before your comment, and now I looked for it, and yes, this is a series, and I've already ordered second novel because I want to prolong this enjoyment. I like this very much, and this book reminded me how much in love I am with fantasy actually, so maybe I need to read more of it. Yeah, this is very good. Highly recommend, especially for Jane Austen July or for Jane Austen lovers. You know, this is just a wonderful retelling. Highly recommend. Then I read a book from library and I returned it already, but that was a 5-star read and I will buy this book for sure. This is The Slipper and the Spindle by Neil Gaiman. This is very short book, 72 pages, and it's more like a picture book. So I need to tell that illustrator is Chris Riddell, and this author and illustrator works a lot together, and I do think their work blends beautifully in one wonderful project that is just one of a kind. This is very beautiful. It's like picture book for adults. This is a retelling of Sleeping Beauty and Snow White, but with a twist. These heroines have much more individuality than in, you know, fairy tales. So I really like this very much. There is a wonderful twist in the end, so it's almost like a detective story, no, mystery story. And also I did like this queer hint in this book. It's not that straightforward, but it's there and I loved it. Also, I do think that now I can say that Neil Gaiman is one of my favorite authors, because all books I have read by him, I haven't read all of them, but all I have read, I gave 5 stars. I have read for now American Gods, Coraline, The Graveyard Book, Stardust, and this one. So, The Slipper and the Spindle. I really want to read more of him because, like, all of these books were 5-star reads for me, and I think it's wonderful. And also, he has something in his works that are one of a kind. I can't compare Neil Gaiman to any other author because it's incomparable, and I value this in authors. I do think that's, yeah, he's wonderful. Then I read a book from the library and I returned it already. It was Survive the Night by Riley Sager. And I do know that this book have like a hate spread now in BookTube. I don't know why. I gave it 3 stars, and it's the same rating that I gave to Home Before Dark, last year's Riley Sager's work. And though I read now 3 Riley Sager's books, and though I enjoyed all 3 of them, they are so similar to each other that the truth is I can't say, like, I can't difference one work from another. They all do have woman main protagonists, which are very troubled and mostly troubled with their minds. They find themselves in bad situations and try their best to get out of it, and there is like a double twist in the end. So there is one twist, like, let's say 10 pages from the end, and then 5 pages from the end of the book there is another twist. And also everything will be fine in all of his books. I don't think it's a spoiler because they are so similar to each other. So, Survive the Night by Riley Sager is a novel about a girl who is studying the history of cinema, or cinematography in college. and her best friend and roommate from the college was killed by a serial killer on the campus. And because of that, she can't stay in the college anymore, and she wants to fly away from it. And it is 90s, so no mobile phones, nothing like that. And she goes to this whiteboard and put there an advertisement that she wants to share the ride with someone. And the guy went to her and said that he is driving the same place where she is going to drive, and they can split the gas price and they can go together. And so they ended up in this car, and they begin to to talk, to know each other a little bit, like 20 questions and all this stuff. And there she began to suspect that he is the serial killer. And so the story starts from here. I do think that there is two tremendous faults of Riley Sager in this book. First of them, the dialogues. It never was his best part of the book, but here it's the worst, because our main protagonist, she has something like hallucinations. So she began to see movies in her head, and all the time she can't say when the reality ends and when her movie in the head starts, and vice versa, where this movie ends and the reality starts. And so almost all the dialogues between them looks like this. Like, "Are you car sick?" asked him. "Oh, I'm a car sick," thought she, and she began to see a movie or, something in her head, and it goes for 10 pages, say. And then it ends, and then she says, "No, I'm fine." And you are like, what fine? For what question is this answer? Where did we start with all this? Because, there were so much thoughts and imagine things between these two replics. It would be better if, there will be a dialogue, and then the silent, and then in the silence she begin to say a movie. Because with this, you just drop the clue of what's going on in this dialogue. And the second bad thing in this book was that the best part in Riley Sager's books are buildings. Creepy buildings, which are the main thing in every story, in every book. There is this building here at the end of the book, but almost all, 2/3 of the book, are inside the car. And car dialogues, there is no creepy windows and wallpapers. It's not he couldn't do this. He needs building to make tension. And the car was not the best part of it. But still, I enjoyed it pretty much. I guessed almost everything, but it was like this in every Riley Sager's book. And I do think that it's enjoyable. It's fun, it's fast-paced, it makes you guessing and reading. It's fine. 3 stars, very solid read. And then began that video that I've read the books recommended by Jen Campbell. So I read Summerwater by Sarah Moss. This is a 5-star book, but I gave it 4 stars because the quality of prose, the quality of language, the plot, everything is 5-star. But in the middle of the plot, there is subject that touched me too personally, and as I saw myself excluded from the narrative because of the way author talk about this subject, and I did not like it at all. I do not recommend this book to all Ukrainian or maybe all Eastern European immigrants. This is not a book for us. This is a book about us. And this is quite a difference. I want to read more by Sarah Moss in the future, but this book was a 4-star read, and it was a huge disappointment for me. Maybe not a disappointment. This book definitely made me sad and give me shivers and nightmares, like real life nightmares. This is like a horror story for me, and I did not appreciate it in this book. So yeah, Summerwater by Sarah Morse, 4 stars. Then I read another 2-star read, but you are safe here because it was a Russian author book and it was not translated in English. I read Simon by Narine Abgaryan, and it was for my book club. I talked about another book by Narine Abgaryan, 3 Apples Fall from the Tree. I enjoyed that one better than Simon. Simon is a story about one man and his 4 mistresses, 4 of many mistresses who he had during his life. And at the beginning of the book he died, being a very old man. And so his wife and his mistresses came to the funeral and began to talk about their lives. And then we got to know about lives of all of his mistresses, and something about his wife, but not a lot. All their lives were unbelievably hard, and unbelievably I mean that it was that hard that author tried to make us tear up every page like for a few times, and I did not appreciate this effort. It was too much effort to make us cry, and I didn't cry at all because I do not like being manipulated like this. I do think this is a very cheap manipulation, and I do not buy it. And there are stories of these 4 very different women, and the only thing that saved their lives, it was like a bright light in the darkness of their lives, was Simon, when he came into their life and began to, to involve in their love life. And it's even hard to read for modern people. This is a very modern book. It was published in this year because, well, few times he was like not molested, but something near this. So he was very straight to this woman. He grabbed them and he kissed them forcefully, and then they understood at that very moment how wonderful the life can be, how beautiful they are, how all their troubles are nothing because, this man now came to their life. This book is about women, and it's talking about hard women lives, but I think that in the core it's highly unwomanly, misogynistic. I do not like it at all. Then I read another 5-star read, and it was The Bus Rock by Evie Wyld. This is like antagonist for the previous book. This is a book about male violence and how women can or cannot respond to it during the whole history of humankind. So there is 3 women's stories connected by one place. There is Bus Rock in Scotland, and there are 3 women. There is Sarah in 18th century, who is accused for being a witch. She needs to run away from the danger, and few people run away with her, but she will find her death in an unexpected place, or maybe expected place, because from this book we understand that you can't be safe near any male human, because the male violence is so normal and so understandable in our life that you just need to wait for it. It never is unexpected. The woman near man always is expecting things to get worse. There is Ruth in 1850s who married a widower with 2 boys and came to live in this huge manor near Bus Rock and get to know the society around her and how her relationships with her new husband involves in there, and yeah, her relationships with her new sons and all this stuff, and the society around, the women's society and men's society, how it communicate with her as a new woman in this area. And there is Wyld, a very troubled young woman in our time. Well, she's not troubled, she doesn't know what to do with her life at this point. She has no job, she has no money, she has no interest in life, and she is just like a trash, living a trash life, and she's somewhat enjoying it and do not want to change it, and she felt very bad for enjoying this life. She is cleaning and preparing for sale this huge manor. She is a daughter of one of these young boys from Ruth line. So Ruth was some kind of grandmother figure for her, and so she began to unravel this Ruth story, and she we get a hint about something after Ruth's story ended, so we know the future, because Violet remembers something from Ruth's future, and there is a male violence in Violet's family too. So what I do like about this book, the style, the language is, and I haven't read this for many years, the gothic creepy place, the Scotland shore with rocks and cold beaches, the atmosphere is wonderfully done. This struggle when women can't do anything active against men and against man violence, but they need to be quiet and wait for bad things to happen and pray for them not to happen, and how women connect together against this violence in male world. I do think that this book is very good, and I know that there were previous works by Evie Wyld. I am highly interested in reading them. 5-star reads for me, very atmospheric, and I really liked how nuanced, how quiet, and how loud at the same time this book was. Wonderful read. And then I've read Jan Campbell's book, The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night. I gave it 4 stars at the end, but mainly because I do not enjoy short story collections as much as novels. I do think that from each this short story there can be a wonderful novel. Well, from most of these. I liked it very much. My favorite were The Margaret and Mary at the End of the World, and The Beginning of the World in the Middle of the Night. And my very favorite was Plum Pie, Zombie Green, Yellow Bee, Purple Monster. This book, the whole thread between all these short stories are womanhood, girlhood, process of growing up, disability, and society response for disability persons. Also, these short stories are connected to fairy tales, and it's quite magical, and there is like a hue of magic and gruesome fairy tales from all of these works. And I pre-ordered Jan's next book, The Sister Who Ate Her Brothers, and this is a collection of gruesome fairy tales. It will come in October, and I do think it will be perfect Halloween read for me. I can't wait, because this book is actually a good Halloween read. It's creepy, and it's strange, and it's twisted, and it's very feminine. I liked it very much. So yes, these were all the books I read in the month of August. I enjoyed August very much. Please tell me the best book you've read in the month of August, or the book that surprised you the most. Maybe it was bad surprise or good surprise, but please tell me this because I'm interested to know. And I'll see you in the next video. Bye!